It's another tutorial day, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mayowaoye, and today's tutorial is a statement spiral ruffle design I immediately liked when I saw it. So hit the subscribe button below your screen and let's proceed to the tutorial proper. So guys, first things first, you need to get your basic bodice or dress block, and this is mine, this is the back, and this is the front. So we'll be starting with the front pattern. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to take off about 1 inch from my shoulder. So I'm just going to measure 1 inch there and reconnect back to my neckline, just like I'm doing right now. So yeah, pretty much that's that. So right now I'm going to measure my dress length. That is how long you want your dress to be. So since it's a short dress, I'm just going to measure about 36 inches for mine, and that's it for me right there. Then the next thing for me will be to draw a curve at the hem of my dress. So I'm just going to measure 3 inches in from the center line right there and reconnect back to my hip level. You can also decide not to connect to your hip level if you want the dress to be modest. So you can just go down a bit, maybe 3 inches down from your hip level, and then you connect back to your center line. So that's that pretty much. Now if you look at the design picture, you would see that there are no dots on the dress, and this is something you can only get away with if you are using a stretchy fabric like what was used in the picture. But if you are not using a stretchy fabric, you have to sew in dots into your dress. But if you are using a stretchy fabric, you can just take out the dots on from your waistline. So if your dots intake is 1 inch, you just take in 1 inch from your waistline and then reconnect or redraw your side line. So pretty much, but for me, I'm not going to be using a stretchy fabric for mine, so I'm going to be sewing on that onto my dress. So yeah, now everything I'm marking in there is no longer needed. So now I'm just going to add in my allowances: 1/4 inch at the neckline, 1/2 inch at the shoulders, 1/2 inch at the armhole, and 1 inch at the side, then 1 inch also at the hem. And now I'm just going to cut out my pattern and trim off all the excess paper that I don't need anymore. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, this is it. So that borderline right there is not needed. When I'm cutting on my fabric, I'm going to fold it because we don't really need it. So yeah, now let's start working on the back pattern. Now for the back pattern, everything I did for the front, I'm also going to do it for the back. So I'm going to chop off or take out 1 inch also from my shoulders and reconnect back to my back neckline. Then I'll measure in my dress length, which is 36 inches for the front. I also do the same also for the back and connect that line. Then I'm going to draw in a curve just like I did for the front by measuring in 3 inches from my center line and reconnecting back to the hip level. So now I'm just going to add in all of my allowances: 1 inch allowance at the side, 1 inch also at the hem of my dress right there, 1/2 inch at the armhole, and 1/4 inch at the neckline. So now I'm going to cut out my excess paper and have my pattern out. So yeah, pretty much that's all I'm going to do for the back pattern of the dress. And the borderline right there will be the zipper allowance for my back, because there's going to be a zipper at the back of your dress. And now for the sleeve of your dress, there is really nothing to it. Just get your basic sleeve block like I've gotten mine, and then you just add your allowance. So I'm just going to add 1/2 inch allowance to the top right there, all the way round to the other end of the arm side, and then I'm going to measure in 1 inch at the side of my sleeve and 1 inch also at the other side. So now I'm just going to cut out the excess pattern paper on the sleeve pattern, and that will be the end of drafting in my sleeve. So yeah, pretty much. And these are all my patterns cut out right here. So now I'm just going to place them on my fabric now and cut it all out. So I'm going to cut out the front, the back, and also the sleeve block of my pattern out of my fabric. And this is everything cut out on my fabric pretty much. Now for the spiral ruffle, get a fresh piece of paper and draw a cross in the middle of your paper. Now at the point of origin right there at the center of your paper, measure a 3 inches mark all the way around to form a circle. So, and that's right there for me. So I'm just going to connect all of the marks now to form a full circle. Now I'm going to divide 3 by 2, and that gives me 1.5. So I'm going to measure 1.5 from the outer curve of my circle right there and connect from that point to this point. So you got the drift right. So now the next thing will be to continue measuring my 3 inches, but instead of from the point of origin, is going to be from my outer curve. That is the outer curve of my circle line. I'm going to measure 3 inches all the way round and round till I get to the other end at the bottom. So measure 3 inches all the way around. So why am I using 3 inches? The reason why I'm using 3 inches, because that is going to be the width of my spiral ruffle. Now the next one will be to measure another 3 inches from the outer curve of this curve I just finished drawing. So you keep going all the way like that, depending on how wide your paper is. So you can see I just like marked everything in, just so that you can understand how I marked all of the measurement. So 3 inches is the width of my spiral ruffle. So you keep going depending on how wide you want your, or how wide the paper is, or how wide you want your, or how long you want your spiral ruffle to be rather. Now I'm just going to keep cutting out all of the lines right now, just so that I can have my spiral ruffle. So yeah, that's that. Keep going, keep going, and that's the end of drawing the spiral ruffle. So I'm just going to measure 3 inches at the outer curve here, just to have a round outer edge for my spiral ruffle. So yeah, just going to cut that out and trim out the excess paper on the spiral ruffle. And this is what my spiral ruffle looks like. Look at that. This is what you can cut 2 pieces of it, and then you cut it on your fabric. This is what it looks like on my fabric. You can see that, and that's pretty much it. Now let's move to sewing. First, I'm going to be sewing in the darts of my dress. You may remember that I said that my fabric is not stretchy, so I'm going to be sewing in darts onto my own dress. So yeah, pretty much now I'm sewing in my second dart. Now when I'm done sewing in my darts, I'm going to now attach the front and the back together at the shoulders, and then sew that too. So that will be after sewing in the back darts of my dress also. I'll just place the front and back together, right sides together, and sew my shoulders. So yeah, pretty much this is my front dart done. So, and this is everything done, both my front and back attached together at the shoulders. So now I'm just going to place my sleeve right there and sew by 1/2 inch all the way around to the other side. So whatever allowance you added to your pattern when you were cutting, that is what you are also going to sew by. That's going to be the seam allowance you sew by when you are sewing. So I'm just going to attach my 2 sleeves, and then I'll show you what my dress is going to look like. So this is it, this is it. Now I'm going to place both right sides together and sew at the side. So I'm going to start from my sleeve right there and sew that is the side of my sleeve, and sew all the way right to the armhole of my dress, all the way to the hem. And this is what it looks like. So yeah, pretty much I'm going to turn my dress inside out now, so you can see what my dress is going to look like. And this is the completed dress. So yeah, that's for that. Now remember I said we'll cut 2 pieces of the spiral ruffle, but instead really cut 4 pieces, so that, because if you look at the picture, you would see that it's in layers. If we have 2 tiers for the ruffles, so 2 will serve as a lining and the actual fashion fabric, and the second 2 will serve as the second tier of the ruffle. So I hope you got the drift of what I just explained. Now just place the first 2 pieces right sides together and finish off the raw edges. So you leave an opening right in the middle here, so that when you finish up the raw edges, you'll have a place to turn everything inside out. Now to the part you've all been waiting for, guys. To achieve the exact structure you have in the design picture, how structured it looks, you need to get a horsehair braid. You get a horsehair braid or crinoline, and this is what that looks, and that's what is going to make the spiral ruffle structured. If you don't put it, it's not going to be structured. So I don't have one with me right now, or I would have used it for my dress. So I'm just using this to represent how to sew the horsehair braid. So you just place it at one end of your spiral ruffle, and then you sew all the way around. So by the time you have already attached, that is, you've placed both the right side, the first two pieces of your spiral ruffle, you've placed them right sides together. Then you just place your horsehair braid at one end of your edge, at one edge, and then you sew down. So you got that, we got what I just explained. So by the time you are done sewing, the horsehair braid or crinoline is what is going to keep your spiral ruffle standing. So now I'm just going to sew the edges of my spiral ruffle all the way around right now. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to keep sewing, 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 sewing till I'm done. So yeah, now once you're done, you turn it inside out. So that's the opening right there. I've already turned everything inside out. So at that opening edge right there, you can just fold it in and stitch that down, and then you do the same also for the other side. You just sew that in and stitch it down. So now we'll be attaching the spiral ruffle to our dress. To attach it, we'll be sewing the first tier first. So you just follow the U-shaped hem of your dress, and then you follow that. You can also make, mind you, you can also decide to change the U shape I did for my dress. You can make yours wavy to make it look exactly like what you have in the design picture. So you make it like more wavy instead of the U-shaped I drew the U shape I drew on my own on the hem of my own dress. So you just follow the shape when you're sewing. So you place it this way, and that is it. This is my first tier done. So I'm just going to fluff it open just to make it stand. And now I'm going to place the second spiral ruffle. You can see I'm going to place it closely to the line of the first one. So you see I'm going to sew that down now. Also I'm going to sew it all the way around. Make sure it touches that, like it's close to the first one, so that we don't have any empty spaces. So yeah, when I'm done, this is what that is going to look like. So if you have your spiral your horsehair braid is going to be structured. That is, the crinoline you add is going to give the spiral ruffle more structure and make it stand stronger. So yeah, now I'm just going to place this on my miniature mannequin so you can see what the full fit is going to look like. And this is all there is to it. Don't forget to tap the subscribe button below your screen, tap the like button also, and turn on the notifications bell below your screen so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos when I post them. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.